All right, welcome to the End Zone Oracle. Sorry, we're starting a little bit late today, everybody. Just ran into some technical difficulties, but we got a great show planned for you. I've got the New York insider Joey Jets joining us, joining the show as well tonight. Going to have a lot of fun. Throw in any comments or questions that you've got, lineup questions, waiver wire questions, trade questions that you want to throw out there. Definitely throw those into the chat. We'll go through those as we come along. But before we get in too much farther, first of all, Glenn Ritter here, Minnesota insider for IE Sports Radio. You can find me on X at Gritter13 or on TikTok at IESR Minnesota. So I'll be throwing videos on there about anything Minnesota sports related. And let me bring our good pal Joey Jets to the show here as well. Joey, how can everybody out there get a hold of you?
What's going on, Glenn? Thanks for having me, bud. Pretty much on either Instagram, X, or TikTok, looking at Joey Jets 1188. Pretty standard across the board there. Posting the Jets, the Yankees, Miami Hurricanes, Brooklyn Nets once the season starts up. But yeah, that's how you find me.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for joining the show tonight. Last week we had Josh Ritter, not related, but a great guy here in our IE Sports Radio community. Taryn, thanks for joining. Yeah, appreciate it. We will definitely do our best to have a great show. So let's here's some of the things we're going to be talking about tonight. We always go through who are some of the top performers from week 3, who are some of the guys that really kind of laid an egg over the weekend, and some of the injuries, who you should be looking to start, who you should be looking to bench, who are some of the players that are struggling this year. Just what kinds of players should you be looking for here in week number 4, because things are kicking off tomorrow night. Got Thursday night games. I mentioned this to all of our IESR buddies on band as we were watching the game last week with the Bills against the Dolphins. Everybody, if you were watching last week's show, you would have seen Josh and I talking about how the Buffalo Bills were going to absolutely destroy the Miami Dolphins. Crazy thing with Thursday night games, though, in the NFL, they don't go the way that you think that they're going to go. The Miami Dolphins were in that game quite almost until the very end. They end up losing by 10, but still, it's one of those things that's crazy. So I think tomorrow night we've got Arizona against Seattle. Again, who knows how that's going to turn out? When there's division games, nobody knows kind of what to expect. I try to avoid those as much as I possibly can, unless I've got, my number 1 running back or number 1 wide receiver playing in those games. If you've got a superstar, you have to play them, but sometimes you have to kind of temper those expectations. Anyway, so we're going to talk about a lot of different things, kind of jump into our weekly Oracle report. So some of the top performances of the week, in my mind anyway, I'm going to go through a few of these. And Joey, feel free to jump in with whatever you've got. If you've got other players that you think really jumped out at you. I think the one that's the player that jumped out the most to me as far as stats goes was Caleb Williams. I was not expecting the kind of performance that he had against Dallas. He was the highest scoring quarterback in our league last week. So not always a productive when it comes to wins and losses, but that doesn't really matter in fantasy football. All that matters is individual performances. And sometimes that's the key to being good in fantasy football is you have to kind of set aside, is this guy a really good player or is this guy a really good performer? Do they put up good stats? Are they in the right environment? Some other guys that really had huge weeks are guys that you'd expect. Lamar Jackson was huge in that game against Detroit. Didn't come out on top, but he had huge numbers. Jalen Hurts also had big numbers, who had been down a little bit the first 2 weeks. So seeing him bounce back in week 3 was good. As far as like running backs, Jonathan Taylor was huge for the Colts. let's see, David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, right? Those watching that game on Monday night with Detroit against Baltimore, it was crazy. Those guys scored 2 touchdowns. David Montgomery was just huge. I mean, the way that he was breaking off those long runs, absolutely insane.
Baltimore had no answer for Detroit's run game pretty much that entire game, especially that second half. It felt like
yes,
could not stop them.
Exactly. I mean, they were, no matter what Baltimore tried to do, which is weird because Baltimore's always had such a stout defense. But yeah, that was kind of crazy there with the way that they were able to run. Oh, and Brian's chiming in too. Good evening, guys. Taylor stays healthy. He could have the most touchdowns. Absolutely. Indianapolis has been a surprise team. Who would have picked them to start out the season 3-0?
Not me.
No, me either.
not like,
oh yeah, Daniel Jones, of course, at quarterback. Of course, he's going to be
all-star.
Yeah, and he's been a relevant fantasy football player. I'm seeing him get picked up in a lot of leagues after going undrafted, and I would venture to guess almost all leagues, unless it's a super flex league where you can start 2 quarterbacks. Otherwise, why would you have drafted Daniel Jones, right?
Yeah, unless you knew something, which I don't think any of us did. I had to pick him up in one league out of desperation.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah, it's injury ridden.
Oh, yeah. That's the thing. Injuries are starting to creep up here, and we'll get to those in a little bit here too. But I don't know. Were there any other quarterbacks or running backs that jumped out at you this past week?
Not so much. I think hitting on the positive note, I think you really hit the nail on the head with those 6 right there.
Yeah. Okay. So looking at wide receivers, I looked down the list and I was surprised. Trey Tucker for the Raiders had the most points for receivers this past weekend. Just going crazy, which Larry, I know that you're a huge Raiders fan and never expected that out of Trey Tucker, but he seems to be getting more targets than Brock Bowers. I mean, Brock Bowers going into the season, everybody's number 1 tight end. Is going to just continue to go off after his record-setting season as a rookie last year. But he hasn't been able to generate a ton of points. I don't even know where he's ranked as far as tight ends this year. But he's not the number 1 as of this point. So otherwise, Garrett Wilson really bounced back with Tyrod Taylor in the quarterback over Justin Fields. Cortland Sutton had a bounce back week, and also to go with Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown stepped up this week.
Devontae Smith too. I thought he had a pretty solid. Oh,
Devontae Smith did. Yeah. Well, I think both of the Philadelphia receivers on last week's show, we were talking about how disappointing they had been through 2 weeks. Completely redeemed themselves in week 3. All 3 of those players stepped up huge. As far as tight ends go, Hunter Henry, Mark Andrews, who last week I was saying, I think he's done. I was wrong. I'll admit that. He went off for 2 touchdowns, and that's again some of those crazy things that happen with fantasy football. You can see how unproductive somebody can be over at the beginning of the season over a couple of weeks, and you lose all faith in them. And Mark Andrews has really stepped up. TJ Hawkinson also finally got into the end zone for the Vikings going against the Bengals, thanks to Carson Wentz being the starting quarterback there. Anybody I missed that you mentioned Devontae Smith or anybody else that?
I was gonna mention Mark Andrews, but you already got me on that one.
Okay,
yeah, I was in the same boat as you. I'm watching that game and I'm like, oh my god, yeah, he is still relevant. He can still catch the ball when you want him to.
Right? Yeah. Last year. Again, and I mentioned this in last week's show, Mark Andrews started out really slow. He was mainly he was losing a lot of red zone targets to Isaiah Likely. Mm-hmm. They don't have that this year.
No,
because Zay Flowers is getting so many of the receiving targets for the first 2 weeks against Detroit. they took Zay Flowers away. So Mark Andrews was able to operate a little bit better underneath and catch a lot of passes there.
Okay.
Let's go to the opposite side there. Who were some of the guys that had the worst performances of the week? You have any that jumped out at you there before I get to my list?
I'm gonna go with. I wouldn't say it's totally a surprise. I think Russell Wilson had a really meh game at best. But on the other side of that matchup, Patrick Mahomes has really looked not so stellar these first 3 weeks. I've been arguing pretty much all week ever since Sunday night that if the Chiefs would have played almost any other team in the league Sunday night, they would have lost that game.
Yeah,
except for the Jets. They would have beat the Jets too.
Oh yeah, actually, Mahomes was somebody that I had on my list, and I think a big part of it is I don't think Travis Kelce is who he used to be, and he's one of the players that I have in my worst performances. You know, after him being so dominant for so many years, watching him and Andy Reid kind of jawing back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hey, Stephanie. Is that the Mahomes? About Mahomes with a ha ha ha? Anyway, but yeah, I think he definitely needs Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice back. Without Hollywood Brown kind of banged up, he did well in week 1, but Travis Kelce really hasn't been able to put up a lot of good numbers. They're just not clicking. And I think that they need those two guys back in order to really take the next step with the offense. Because of that, Pacheco's not able to get the ball going with the running game. So some of the other ones that I had listed were Jordan Love and Dak Prescott as far as quarterbacks. Jordan Love, he was dominant first 2 weeks, putting up really good numbers, leading the Packers to some victories, but to have a 10-point lead against the Browns and lose it was pretty embarrassing, I guess. That's not a game that the Packers should have lost. And then Dak Prescott, I think a big part of that was CeeDee Lamb going down with that ankle injury early on in the game. He just wasn't able to find anybody else. I think he completed one pass or a touchdown pass to George Pickens. But without CeeDee Lamb for the next couple of weeks, if you have Dak Prescott as your starting quarterback, you might want to look for somebody else to back him up and play that matchup. All right. Well, here's Stephanie's explanation. She was referring to the Chiefs definitely beating the Jets. So
that's fair.
All right, she agreed with you there, Joey.
Fair assessment. All right. I'm honest about my team.
yeah. We all try to be, but sometimes I'm a little bit more of an optimist with my team. I always like to look at things more of a glass half full kind of approach. Although I was not expecting the Vikings to play the way that they did. Against the Bengals. Some other players that I had listed and looked at because they're guys that are typically rostered on a lot of teams. And that is Stephanie. Sorry, Joe. It's the truth. Anyway, Caleb Johnson has done nothing for the Steelers. And part of me is wondering, does he warrant a roster spot if you have him on your team? He's just not getting carries. Jaylen Warren is the back for the Steelers. I know that Ralph, I'm sure, would agree with that. And so it's not that he doesn't have a future with the team, but as of right now, for the near future, I don't think he has much going for him. Ashton Genty has been a huge disappointment. He's the most talented running back in this draft. But the Steelers' inability to run the ball and block for him have been awful. RJ Harvey is another one. Again, taken in the second round for the Broncos. Everybody's thinking, okay, he's going to be the guy. Sean Payton led offense. Maybe he's going to be the next Alvin Kamara. Nope. J.K. Dobbins has really pretty much taken over that role. So if you've got him, keep him on your bench. I don't think he's going to do much until Dobbins gets hurt, which seems to happen every year. So you definitely don't want to drop him, but hopefully you have a roster spot that you can keep him on the bench. As far as wide receivers go, I mentioned CeeDee Lamb getting hurt. I think T. Higgins had a rough game, but how much of that was because of Jake Browning?
Yeah.
He was flustered by the Vikings defense, but also Travis Hunter. He just doesn't seem to be getting many offensive snaps anymore. It used to be, early in the season, he was getting quite a few. Now he's not getting a whole lot of snaps, not getting a whole lot of targets. So I think those are some guys that really didn't step up too well. As far as tight ends go, already talked about Kelsey. Tucker Kraft, I think he got banged up during the game for the Packers, but also Colston Loveland. And you see Tyler Warren really putting up great numbers for the Colts. It makes you wonder, did the Bears make a mistake by drafting Colston Loveland ahead of Tyler Warren? I was more of a fan of Tyler Warren just because he had the production at Penn State. And I didn't necessarily, while Colston Loveland has the tools to be very successful, it was just one of those things where I didn't see. You'd want to see that kind of production in college to help. To help make you feel comfortable and confident in the player that you select. But sometimes it doesn't matter. But this is one of those times where I think it does. And I don't know, maybe Caleb Williams just doesn't have and you would think, again, a fairly young quarterback would want to rely heavily on their tight end, but not so much the case for the Bears. Some injury updates that are fantasy football related. CeeDee Lamb's going to be out a few weeks with a sprained ankle. James Conner went down with a season-ending foot injury, so that's unfortunate for all you James Conner fans or owners. And hopefully you picked up Trey Benson to when we talked about him last week as a handcuff. Hopefully you all did that before the weekend or were able to pick him up off of waivers last night on Tuesday night, because he's going to take over. He's going to take over that role. Nick Bosa, defensive player, obviously, for the Niners, but I think his torn ACL is going to impact the 49ers defense. They're going to be definitely is going to impact the pass rush. And then sticking around with San Francisco, you got Mac Jones is still hurt or got hurt, and Brock Purdy is still banged up as well. They have no idea who they're going to be starting at quarterback this weekend. I think they're I can't remember who the third quarterback is for them, but I was just listening to it on the TV that all three are taking some reps in practice.
That's scary.
Yeah, well, that's exactly it. I mean, maybe I don't know. We'll see what happens there. Anyway, so and then obviously then the other big one was Najee Harris going down with the torn Achilles. Going to be out for the whole season again as well. So Omarion Hampton owners, he's going to get a huge uptick in usage going forward. So definitely somebody that you should have in your lineup going forward, unless your lineup is completely stacked. I think I have him on my bench in our league because I've got Jahmyr Gibbs and who's the other running back? I'm sorry. Oh, and then Jordan Mason. Jordan Mason is going to be continuing on as the bell cow ball carrier for the Vikings. So,
for sure, and he proved that big time last week just by filling in. And I was fortunate enough to have him in a dynasty carryover from last year.
Oh, nice!
Right before, so McCaffrey got hurt right before Week 1 against the Jets, 2024, and I was able to scoop up Mason right before the game and had him the entire season. Held on to him because experience, and he's slotting right into that lineup. Beautiful thing.
Well, and if you had, if you heard any of my little short videos and rants on X and stuff, I think Aaron Jones getting hurt helped the Vikings offense immensely because Jordan Mason is a better ball carrier than Aaron Jones is.
I agree.
Aaron Jones hasn't been able to get anything going on the ground. Great pass catchers, caught the touchdown against the Bears. So out of the backfield, fantastic. But I would say just the actual ball carrying between the tackles, Jordan Mason is awesome. And as long as the Vikings continue to do that, which they better, because that's never been the MO for Kevin O'Connell to lean on the running game, but that's going to be huge if they can continue to do that.
So for sure. McCarthy's healthy too. It's going to definitely help him out a lot.
Oh, absolutely.
Is he back this week?
No, he's still battling that ankle injury. And although, some people here in Minnesota are like, well, was it really an ankle injury or is it like a, soft benching, right? Or like a mysterious injury that's going to keep him on the bench for a couple of weeks? I don't know. I don't think that that's the case. I don't think that Kevin O'Connell would do that. He seems to have a lot of faith in JJ McCarthy. But and I think that McCarthy would have done a good job against the Bengals. I don't think that, to be honest, I don't think that Carson Wentz had some extraordinary game. He was solid, had made some good throws, but it was all based on being able to run the ball, which was helped by having Christian Darrisaw back. Mm-hmm. Have him at your franchise left tackle, and give the ball between the tackles to Jordan Mason. We're in second and short, third and short, maybe not even getting to third down because they're running the ball so well. So when they throw, it's a short little timing route to Hockenson. Jefferson was got some good looks. So I don't expect. I guess I would have expected a similar type of performance from JJ McCarthy, even though he looked awful in 7 of the 8 quarters. He's played for the Vikings. But this week they're off to Dublin, Ireland, playing the Steelers. So again, as a reminder, Sunday morning, first game is at 8:30 Central, 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific. So if you've got a Steeler or Viking that you're questioning whether you should start, make that decision Saturday night, or be ready to live with the consequences if you wake up and find out that they were inactive for the game.
Now,
right? If they've got any question marks.
On that subject, Glenn, since you are a Vikings fan, and it is week 4 now, so somebody's coming back to your lineup, Mr. Jordan Addison.
Oh, it's going to be huge. And that is somebody that JJ McCarthy really clicked with in the preseason because he was the Justin Jefferson was battling that hamstring injury for most of August. And when they had the joint practices against, the Patriots and the Titans, I believe were the two, he was connecting with Addison quite a bit. And even during the first preseason game, when JJ McCarthy did play, the first series, he was targeting Addison. So I didn't realize how much he would be missed, but he definitely was missed. So I think that's going to be a huge thing there as well. And now the Vikings have 2 road games but they're both in Europe. The Vikings have never lost in Europe. So in regular season games, they played in London, 6 or 7 times, and they've won every single one of those games. So we'll see how it all plays out. What's that?
I remember last year's Europe.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. Sunday they're playing Aaron Rodgers again, this time in Dublin instead of London. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm hoping that it goes well for me. One thing I didn't. Well, never mind. We'll come back to that later. So let's jump into our start, sit, quit. So, guys that you think you should, you tell people that you should start, somebody that should be on your bench, and then somebody that you want to quit. And for me, I'm going to go with 2024 top 10 wide receivers. Wide receivers drafted in the top 10. I wouldn't necessarily quit the player that I've got listed there, but the one that I would start and have to be in your lineup has to be Rome Odunze. He has been the number one target for Caleb Williams. He scored a touchdown, I think, in every week. He's somebody that I had on my bench the first 2 weeks and in my league, and this week he got into my lineup at every place that I had him. The one that I would put on the bench is Malik Neighbors. I think with Jackson Dart starting, I wouldn't necessarily trust him in that game, but that's me. And then the person who I would look to trade would be Marvin Harrison Jr. He has proven between last season and this season, well, the Cardinals have proven they can't get him the ball. Like every route that he runs is a go route. They're not trying to get him running any precise routes to get him open. I don't know what the Cardinals are doing with them. So those would be the guys that I would start. Odunze, bench Neighbors for this week for sure, and until you know what Jackson Dart's going to be able to do, and then look to trade Marvin Harrison Jr. How about you? Do you have any guys that you were thinking about?
I like that. And it's with Rome Odunze, it's hurting me with DJ Moore sitting on in my lineup. He's killing me so far. But
yeah.
I'm going to take the running back approach, and not a specific draft class, but just what I'm looking at for week 4 based on matchups and what's going a little forward. Start, and this is not biased, I would start Breece Hall against Miami. Just Miami's defense just really has not done much of anything these last 3 games. So I think there's a good matchup, especially regardless if Fields is playing or if Tyrod's playing. They love to get the running back involved. The Jets are supposed to be a run-first team, whether it's even runs or screen passes. Hall is pretty much a top 2-3 target every time for the Jets. Bench, but eventually start Cam Scatterbo for the Giants. I love what I was seeing out of him against Kansas City, and I think he's got a really bright future there with New York, especially with Tracy going down. And trade, I would look to move Chase Brown right now, especially with Cincinnati's offensive struggles and Joe Burrow going to be out for at least 3 months. Jake Browning not looking so hot. Might be time to try to unload him and see what you can get.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought. I would, even the Scatterbo thing, or Scatterbo. I'm trying to remember how they pronounce it during the game, but with Tracy going down, I feel like he's going to be getting quite a number of carries. He's going to get a good workload, but are they going to be down by 20 by the end of the first quarter, and then they abandon the running game? So, and
that's exactly what I wrote down. I no joke. I'll even show it to you. It's somewhere, and I can't really tell, but it's in there. I flipped those 2 back and forth, and my note on was Scatterbo was playing most games from behind, abandoned run. Yep. Word for word.
Oh yeah, well that's it. That's you got to think about those things when it comes to fantasy football too. Although, are you a little worried about Braylon Allen stealing any carries from Breece Hall?
I think if it was gonna happen to a high degree, it would have happened already. And kind of like what the Giants are dealing with, where the first game against the Steelers, we were back and forth with them. We played all of the Buffalo game and pretty much all the Tampa game from behind as well. Mm-hmm. So they weren't really getting Braylon too much involved as much as I would have liked to see. I think he is a potential goal line vulture because he is that big body guy. So if it's a 3rd and short, he's gonna plow right through you. But overall, I think he's worth a stash. At this point, maybe not all through the season, but I think overall he's still worth that. But I don't think he's gonna steal too many points away from Breece. Breece is still the go-to guy on the Jets backfield.
Okay, because that was one of the guys that I had listed as my some guys that you need to handcuff was Braylon Allen, because I've had Brees Hall on teams in the past. Actually, I have him on one of my teams right now. I'm in 3 leagues. But that one's like really touchdown heavy, and it's so hard to decide when he's going to actually put the ball in the end zone. So
Yeah.
but that one's tough. And the other one I had for a handcuff is Ray Davis. So if you own James Cook or Brees Hall, I would say picking those guys up as to be a little safety net in case either of them gets injured. Because again, like you mentioned, the Jets are dedicated to running the ball. So both of those guys are worth roster spots, Brees Hall and Braylon Allen. I mean, if they're either one is on the waiver wire in your league, pick them up, have them on your bench. You should have a spot for them.
Yeah, I got a couple myself too.
Yeah, good.
Bishal Tootin. I don't know if I pronounced his name right or not, but Bishal Tootin, running back from Jacksonville.
Yeah,
pretty much the backup to ETN, and I think it's a matter of time. ETN just did not have. He's got so much talent. I just don't know what Jacksonville's offense really wants to be. But Tootin's back there, and I think his role is just going to keep on progressing. And he had his first touchdown last week. He's like 48% roughly rostered, at least in the league, at least in the format that I was looking at. I think he's worth a grab. And you also have since Pacheco is hit or miss, and he's a little older, but if he's still available out there, I would pick up Kareem Hunt.
Yep, absolutely. He should be definitely be on the roster. So those are good pickups or points. We actually did talk about Bishal Tootin on last week's episode. That was one of my guys that as a handcuff as well too. So great points there, Joey. We're going to take a quick break here. We'll come back in like 2 or 3 minutes. You're watching the End Zone Oracle here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, single-A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all-brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clanking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
All right, welcome back to the End Zone Oracle here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. make sure you check out those sponsors. They do great work. Planet Jerky premium brisket beef jerky is absolutely fantastic. I've got my wife hooked on it too. We always have I always have a bag in my office desk and one at home. The pepper teriyaki is just awesome. Sweet barbecue is good too. They've got some that are super spicy. I'm afraid to even try just because I'm Minnesotan and Minnesota spicy is the actual thing here. So we don't have we don't handle heat too well. So anyway, but again, thanks for coming back. If you have any questions, players to start, trade requests that or proposals that have been sent your way, trade proposals you're thinking of sending out, you want our opinion on those, throw them in the chat. Love to go through and talk about any of those things. Any matchup questions for this weekend? Who should you start? Who should you pick up? Waiver wire, those kinds of things. Check in with us, right? So, but let's look at the waiver wire. Some players that I'm thinking that you should look for and try to pick up. We've already mentioned Trey Benson. Again, by now he should be picked up in pretty much every league. But some other guys, Trey Tucker. Again, I picked him up in a couple of my leagues because you can never have too many good players that can score some points. And the thing about it is, even if you don't start them, nobody else in the league has them, and they can't burn you if they're on your bench. So you can always keep that in mind. Some other guys I think might be worth picking up. Jake Browning, again, it depends on the scoring. Like if you lose points for turnovers, probably not best to pick up or start Jake Browning. He's a gunslinger, so he's going to make some throws, but at the same time, he's also going to turn the ball over some. So got to take the good with the bad. Jackson Dart is somebody that, again, he's taken over for Russell Wilson for the Giants. Probably wouldn't put him in your lineup, but again, unless you're in like a super flex league where you can start two quarterbacks, because he does when they've been playing him, it's been to run the ball. So if he's got that running ability as a full-time starter, well, then maybe that could be to your advantage in fantasy football. Other guys that I think might be starting to have a little bit of an uptick, it would be worth stashing away, be Luther Burden in Chicago. He had that trick play where he scored the touchdown. He's kind of he's an exciting athlete, and is somebody that I think Ben Johnson is going to really try to drop some plays and get creative to get him the ball, especially in space, because he's, again, just such a good athlete. I think Ollie Gordon, again, depending on your scoring league. So he's going to be more of the goal line back for the Dolphins. So if they need a 1-yard touchdown run, they might not give that ball to Devon Achane. I think it's probably going to be Ollie Gordon. He got a touchdown this past week because when they got close to the goal line, they brought him in because he's a bigger bruising running back and has really shown he showed a lot with the Dolphins before or during the preseason. And he had, if you look at his 2023 numbers at Oklahoma State, he had some huge numbers. As a senior in 2024, his numbers dropped off. He dropped in the draft as a result. But I think he's a good player too. He's somebody that I targeted with my last pick in a lot of drafts, just to try and get him on my roster. But then I ended up dropping him when other players have stepped up, that were on the waiver wire. And so like I dropped him to pick up Trey Benson at one point. Right. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find room for him, but if I had enough roster spots, I'd look to add him. And then the other guy that I think has some potential is Woody Marks, Houston running back. Again, Houston's offense though is looking atrocious. CJ, his sophomore slump has continued on for his junior season, I guess. I don't know. It's just,
We'll go with that.
yeah, something like that, right? He's just hasn't. It's been a rough year for him. Even last year, he wasn't putting up great numbers. But I tell you what, losing. God, why am I drawing a blank on that guy's name? The wide receiver, a major knee injury last year. For Houston. Somebody help me out. Somebody in the chat remembers that guy's name?
Wasn't Diggs, right? No.
Although Diggs did tear his ACL last year, but he's in New England. Oh my gosh.
Let's see.
Sorry, I have to look it up now. Better put in the year, otherwise it's not going to tell me. Tank Dell. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Tank Dell was a really underrated wide receiver for the Texans. I think he did a lot there. But him going down with that injury last year, which was just horrific, he may not play again. I mean, he tore like every ligament in his knee, had dislocated knee, I think. That's just a tough one to return from. So those are some guys too, that I think people should look at picking up off the waiver wire. Matthew Golden too. He's had such a slow start in Green Bay that maybe sorry, Stephanie. We figured it out as I was. You asked the question. What was the question? Yeah, it was the wide receiver for the Houston Texans that got hurt last year with a major knee injury. It was Tank Dell. Anyway, but I think Matthew Golden is somebody that I could see growing more into that, into a role with the Packers. So definitely somebody I think that you should potentially keep on your team, and or pick up if he's out there on the waiver wire. I know a lot of teams have been, or a lot of teams in leagues I've been in have dropped him. So they were pretty high on him early in the season or in the preseason, but just hasn't jumped out there. So let's go to the next section: panic or patience with some of these struggling stars here in the NFL. Let's start with Patrick Mahomes. Do you panic or do you show patience?
I would say patience, just because of who he is, what the team has done, what we know they're capable of. And I'm going to throw what's the word I'm looking for here? I'm going to throw a little prediction out there. I think KC trades for a receiver at some point during the season, and I don't rule out a reunion of Mr. Tyreek Hill.
Oh, interesting.
You never know. I know our buddy Josh may or may not like that one, but Kansas City.
Too bad he has a cross-country meet that he's helping coach tonight. Otherwise, I'm sure he would be here. Well, he'd be here in studio if he was available. But otherwise, he'd be in the comment section saying, "I don't know. Who knows whether he would be like, let's do it, get rid of him." As somebody that owns Tyreek Hill in one of my leagues, I would welcome that trade.
Yeah, man, I could see Tyreek. He goes at the end of the season last year. He was already kind of like hinting at like he wanted to leave. And if Miami continues to struggle and continues to lose games, that could be stronger. You could see Miami just try to retool a little bit and just change their focus. I mean, they still have Waddle there as a strong number 2 when he's healthy, but you never know. The price they can come call him with a decent asking price, and you might be too good to say no.
Well, and the Dolphins have been quite the dumpster fire, to be honest.
Stole the words out of my mouth.
this season. I mean, just 2 years ago, Mike McDaniel was like the greatest coach in all of football, right? He put up 70 against the Broncos in that game. where everybody was scoring. And since then, the team just hasn't clicked. They haven't gelled. He isn't the offensive guru that, or isn't shown to be the offensive guru that he was back then. Not sure why. Not sure what changed. I mean, the majority of those players are still the same. Still Tua at quarterback. It's still Devon Achane as running back. Waddle and Hill as the receivers. Yeah, sure they lost Raheem Mostert, but as we've seen, he just fell off a cliff and
big time.
he just hit the wall. He's just out of the league, right? But what else is going on there? It's got to be just a whole culture thing in Miami. That's the only explanation I can think of, because if there's talented players and the coaches can't get them to play well together,
you've lost the locker room.
There's got to be something going on there. And I kind of think the same thing with Cincinnati to a certain extent too. But and I agree. I think you got to be patient with Patrick Mahomes. He is one of the greatest quarterbacks in the history of the NFL. He's just turning 30. But it's one of those things where, like we talked about last week with Josh and I did, a winning player doesn't necessarily translate to fantasy football success. They're not the Chiefs are not the Chiefs of 3 years ago when they had Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce and the first run with Kareem Hunt, right? That team was putting up a ton of points. They're not that same team. They're relying more on their defense than anything else to win. Anyway,
sure.
How about this other quarterback that seems to be struggling, Dak Prescott?
Well, I would say patience, but it really, to me, it depends on also CeeDee Lamb. How if he's going to miss, what's it supposed to be, a couple weeks or potentially more?
Yeah, I think 3. It's an ankle sprain.
Yeah, so, especially since Dallas, they really haven't looked that good at all this season. I mean, the Giants game, you give up 37 points to the New York Giants. I mean, come on, that doesn't say much about your defense there. And then you lay an egg, pretty much an absolute egg against the Chicago Bears. Again, no CD, but still, that just goes to show like how big of a piece CeeDee Lamb really is of that offense. And Dallas really has no run game either. So Dak's relying on getting the ball to his receivers. If he's missing his top guy, I might be starting to tap that panic button. I don't know if I'm smashing it yet, but
yeah, I'm there with you. Although speaking of their running game, they have gotten more out of Javonte Williams than Denver ever did. So I got to give them credit for that, at least making him a somewhat respectable option at running back. In my mind anyway. So anyway, but yeah, I'm kind of more in that panic button mode, especially depending on your record right now after 3 weeks in your league. If you are sitting at 0-3 and he's your starting quarterback, I'd be searching the waiver wire looking for an upgrade or trying to make a trade for somebody, right? To figure to find somebody that's going to help you out more than Dak Prescott, especially without CeeDee Lamb for the next 3 weeks. If you're 0-3 and CeeDee Lamb's going to be out 3 weeks, well, Dak will probably keep you at 0-6, and and then your season's screwed at that point. So you gotta make some moves now. So I would be hitting the panic button there a little bit more. Let's go to Trade Tinder. So this proposed trade is one that my son received. He had one from me last week and wanted to know what my thoughts were on it. So this one was so if you had accepted, you swipe right, and if you reject it, you swipe left. Okay, so he would give up Marvin Harrison Jr. for Tyreek Hill?
Straight up, just like that.
Straight up.
I have to swipe right now, honestly. I know Marvin Harrison, he's got so much freaking potential, but I mean, Kyler, I don't even know if Kyler can see him from down there at this point. But
it's a great point.
Yeah. And we know what Tyreek can do too. Tyreek, he gets the ball and just he can explode and just cheat. They call him a cheater for a reason.
Right.
I would be inclined to swipe right on that one.
Yeah, that was my thoughts too. He just felt like it was a no-brainer. And I agree. I mean, Marvin Harrison, if this was a keeper league, you definitely would keep Marvin Harrison.
Oh,
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely, right? Because you figure out, or you figure that Arizona is eventually going to figure it out. But my reservations is up until this point, after 20 games of his career, they haven't figured out a way to consistently get him the ball. He had 5 touchdowns last year. Has he scored? I think he might have scored 1 this year.
No, I'm not even sure. I would have to look it up.
Yeah, I thought he maybe scored 1 in a touchdown in week 1. But while you're checking that, I'll
check
continue.
for you.
Continue just rambling because again, he's not getting the ball. The Arizona offense should be able to perform better than what it does. I'm not sure if it's got to be something in the coaching and the play calling, the play designs, because they should be able to get him. They should be able to get him the ball more because he is extremely talented.
He has one touchdown. He's got 10 catches for 142 and a touchdown.
Yeah. So over 3 weeks, so averaging a little more than 3 catches a week and a little more than and less than 50 yards
brutal.
a week.
Garrett Wilson put up 10 catches against Tampa. I mean,
there you go. Yeah. So he's got to be able to get him the ball more than that. So anyway, okay, thanks. Appreciate that. We're on the same page with that. So let's do a little fantasy fortune teller. So I have my start of the week. I'm just gonna call it that. The one guy that I would definitely put into my starting lineup, if you've got him on your roster, and that's Trey Benson. Trey Benson is going to be getting all of the carries for the Cardinals. They're playing tomorrow night against Seattle, so that's the one that I think will be good. Even though this is flying directly in the face of what I said about Thursday night games, where you can predict somebody to go off, but it's not an easy matchup going against Seattle. But I feel like he's going to do pretty well because he's a good pass catcher out of the backfield. He's going to get he's been a solid runner. I think he's been averaging almost 6 yards a carry for the Cardinals. So he's like one of the league leaders in yards per carry for running backs that have had over 20 carries on the season. It's a stat that I read earlier. But how about for you? You have a bold prediction or somebody that you think is good, needs to be in people's lineups?
So I would say my start of the week, and it's just knowing my team, honestly, from last year and from what I've seen this year, I would start Devon Achane against the Jets. The Jets running defense is 23rd fantasy right now, and we just lost 2 of our top linebackers against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they both have gone on IR out for 4 weeks. Quincy Williams is done for 4 weeks. Marcelino McCrary-Ball's out. We haven't gotten a lot of play out of Jeremy and Sherwood, and we're just getting beat up. We got gashed against James Cook. Pittsburgh really didn't run the ball too much against us. We were doing pretty good there. But the Jets just still have not seemed to figure out their defense, especially the run defense. And you would think by the players that we have on that defensive line with Quentin Williams there as well, Will McDonald, Jermaine Johnson's still out potentially. So you're going to see a lot of Michael Clemens, who is Mr. Stupid Penalty galore. There's a lot of potential for big running plays, and I could see Achane burning us at some point on Monday night. But I would throw him in there.
Okay, yeah, that's a great observation. Great pick there. So I was thinking about who are some of the like favorite matchups of the week. Like when I'm looking at the list of games, some of them that I think are going to be just a lot of fun to see would be obviously the Kansas City Baltimore game. The afternoon game on Sunday will be a fantastic game to watch. And which also should the one that I think that will like to look at the over under for points to be scored. The highest projected scoring game is the Colts against the Rams.
I can see that.
At 50.5, according to ESPN, as I'm looking at that. Although we got two Monday night games. Yeah, both of those are in that 44 to 45 range. But yeah, anyway, so I think that the Colts Rams games could be a fun game to watch because there's probably going to be a good amount of scoring. I don't think the Colts are really going to be able to slow down the Rams too much. But anyway, how about any other game that jump out at you that you really want to see?
Well, I'm trying to avoid. I maybe have to close my eyes on Monday night. Especially going to be there in person, so I'm going to try to close my eyes and put a paper bag over my head or something at the Jets Dolphins game. It's going to be one of those. I'm going to try not to watch that one as much as possible. But I really like. You beat me to it with that one too. I like the Colts Rams matchup. The Rams, at least in the first half of the game against Philly, show that they could legitimately be that top threat to the Eagles trying to get back to the Super Bowl. I love what they did on offense. Just Philly turned it on in that second half. I familiarize myself with the rest of the matchups. Honestly, I'm missing it here. Sorry, give me a second.
That's okay.
Let's see.
Well, while you're looking at that, let's talk a little bit about some defenses that you should be potentially streaming, which I know that Josh always just says whoever's playing the Saints should be your starting defense. So for those of you that don't know, that's the Buffalo Bills this week. So I should be looking at them. Another one that I have as a streaming defense would be the Chargers against the Giants. Chargers have had a great defense this year, and going against Jackson Dart as a rookie quarterback, that's somebody that I would look at picking up if you've got the chance.
Yeah, I would think Bears defense against the Raiders too. Would be a solid option as well, and maybe even the Texans really have not been playing at all. It's 0-3 versus 0-3 matchup against Tennessee, but they are going against Tennessee.
Oh, Tennessee,
you
Cam
Ward,
in
there as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. Again, it depends on the scoring. Like if you don't get points for sacks, maybe the Texans would be down a little bit. But if you're getting points for sacks, they should be able to ring up a few of those too.
No,
so
for sure.
All right. One last section before we head out for the night. Wheel of Misfortune. So this is where I have to get it off my chest that while I had the forethought to target the Minnesota Vikings defense in every single one of the drafts I was in, I was woefully disappointed after the first 2 weeks, and they were sitting on my bench in all three of my leagues. Now, I did go 2-1 in my leagues this past week. However, the one that I lost by 2 points. And if I had started the Vikings defense, I would have won by 12 because of the number of points that the Vikings defense scored. Because I think I went with the Bills defense.
Oh man.
Yeah. And that's one of my downfalls when it comes to fantasy football is I always second guess my choices. So
me too.
I'm always able to accumulate good players. Like I think I do a pretty good job of researching before the draft and who I should target and who I think will have a good season, who I think will have a down season. And I try to avoid those kinds of guys and wait until they drop down into the later rounds. Like I do have Tyreek Hill in one of my leagues, but I took him as like in my like 5th or 6th round, somebody where everybody else had passed on him. And I'm like, okay, well, yeah, I could use another wide receiver, and I selected him. But anyway, so I and at this point in the season, I'm 2-1 in the IESR league. I'm 3-0 in a league with my family. So I've been stomping on everybody there, kind of leading the it's a 10-team league, but I'm scored the most points so far. And, although I did not, I think it's a Yahoo league, and you know how Yahoo does the little draft grades after the draft. I think I got a D+ grade, and I was projected to finish like the regular season, because we have 3 weeks for playoffs. So I think it was projected to finish like 6 and 7 or something like that, and not even make the playoffs. Goes to show what projections mean in that with Yahoo. So they don't necessarily do a good job with projecting players. So when I look at projections, things I don't really take too much into account there. I like to look at matchups more so than anything else.
No, for sure. Same here. You say like the draft grade. So in the IESR league, I was projected to go 14-1. I'm sitting there at a donut 0-3. So, and I second guessed myself. I think it was week 2. I popped Jonathan Taylor down. I don't know why. I don't know what I was thinking. I am full on Ruxin from the league. Yeah, the tinker extraordinaire, or lack thereof. Yes. And I popped Breece Hall in, and it was just a horrific matchup. And then this past week in IESR, CeeDee Lamb got me the big old donut. But even so, that wasn't the worst thing for me this past week. I did go 2-3. I'm in 5 leagues. So trust me, it's horrible. Don't do it. And the worst one by far would have been 3-2. So Monday night, I was trailing 110 and change to 104 something. Right. My opponent's done. I have Jameson Williams, so I'm sitting there needing like 6.5 points. He puts up 6.34, something like that in the first half, and I'm sitting there and I'm watching the game with my girl. She's a big Ravens fan. Hi, Stephanie in the chat, and she. So the whole second half, and she'll test this. I kept on saying, I'm like, I just need 0.15, get the ball to Jameson, and nothing. Second half, shutout. Lost by 0.14 points to fall to 0-3 in that league as well. So it has been rough sledding for me fantasy wise, and it's the same thing you were saying. You know, my rule in fantasy is try to forget your allegiance. I try not to target jet players, even though I'm like, oh yeah, I know Breece is going to do this, and Garrett's going to do that. I try not to unless it's the best possible pick at that time. Oh my God, I'm getting trounced this year.
That is very unfortunate, sir. And I think I have to play this little soundbite.
Yeah, I feel it.
But and you mentioned the IESR league. My week 1, I lost to Dan by I think 4 points because I started Omarion Hampton as one of my running backs rather than Connor, who was playing in the Saints. And after the Friday night game where Omarion Hampton scored 8 points, and I looked at my roster, I'm like, wait, why? So at that point I couldn't get I wasn't going to put him in over Jahmyr Gibbs. I'm like, why did I not start James Conner?
Yeah, week two. That's what I did with the I'm going to call it the Jonathan Taylor snafu. I lost to I lost to Fred by 1.08.
Oh yeah, I think I did see that.
Yeah, 130 to 129, 130, 20 something to 129%. And CeeDee Lamb had a great game. Jaden was all right. Devontae Adams, Brandon Aubrey got me 20 points. But Breece got 5.8, and Jonathan Taylor had a lot more than 5.8.
Yeah.
What do you have? 29.5 on the bench. Yeah.
Oh.
So, I got to stop tinkering is basically what I need to.
We all got to do that, though. That's we start analyzing things too much. You end up losing these matchups that you shouldn't. So, All right. Well, that's the show for this week, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in. As a reminder, I am not going to be in this chair next week. I'm going to be out of town at a conference that I have to go to for work. So Josh is going to be filling in for me, Josh Ritter. He probably will need somebody to join in with him, but definitely support him. Check out the show next week. Also, reminder, the first Sunday game starts at 8:30 Central, 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 West Pacific Coast time. So make sure that you set your lineups and take that game into account. And the great part about it is you can watch football all day long. That early morning games goes right into the noon game to the 3 o'clock afternoon game into the Sunday night game. Whew.
It's like a perfect
That
game.
is a beautiful Sunday. Enjoy it, everybody. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you. I'll see you in 2 weeks, and have a wonderful weekend. Good luck to everybody out there. Skol. All right, take care, guys.
Go Jets.